Palantir stock went down 9.23% yesterday alone, and a lot of people are freaking out. So let's discuss some factors as to why this actually happened. And then at the end of this video, I'm going to share whether or not I'm concerned about this. So just as an overview, before we get into the Palantir specific reasons, many factors can actually cause a stock to move. For example, you can have disappointing earnings or guidance that comes out about a stock, and that can cause a lot of people to panic and actually sell out of the position. You can also have negative news or events happen surrounding a particular company, and again, that can cause a sell-off. It could just be due to the macroeconomic situation, a economic downturn, interest rates rising, things like that can all come into play. And you can also see the broad market declining sometimes, which could be impacting many stocks, maybe even sector-specific declines as well. And sometimes as well, especially with highly traded stocks, you can have a lot of short selling happening. Now, in terms of Palantir, the stock fell nearly 10% in a given day, which is quite unusual and quite significant for Palantir and for many stocks in general. This sort of fall suggests more than just a negative report being released from an analyst, which we did actually get. We got a negative report from a William Blair analyst named Louis De Palma. He's actually covered Palantir for a number of years, and this definitely is not the first time that he's downgraded the stock or put a relatively low price target on it. He's done it many times before, so this isn't surprising, but let's just go through his reasons this time round. So his reasons were citing a US Army presentation that happened last week, and he was actually speculating on the future of a 4-year contract, a $458 million Army contract, which is soon set to expire. So he's saying that there is strong indication, I don't know if that's first-hand knowledge or through sources that he has, a strong indication that Palantir's renewal contract that is due in 2 weeks will be significantly less than the original $458 million that they had received. He said that the US Army plan to maximize the use of open source vendors, which provides a strong indication that Palantir's contract renewal will be a lot less, as they may actually go with other vendors or go with Palantir plus other vendors. He also then went on to speculate that data ownership could be an issue between Palantir and the Army. There has been many times in the past that this particular analyst has spoken out about Palantir's government contracts in a very bearish way. And most, if not all of those previous contracts that he's spoken about have actually worked in Palantir's favor in the end. So in terms of this one, again, we're just going to have to wait and see. I'm not saying that the Army have not said that they want less, they want more open sourcing. We're just going to have to wait and see. We don't know. But I'm just saying that this analyst has been very bearish on Palantir a number of times, and the reasons that he's given before haven't always worked out in his favor. When a negative report like this one, a negative analyst report or price rating downgrading comes out about a popular stock like Palantir, like Tesla, very volatile stocks, that can often get around and get circulated to many people, and that can indeed cause some retail sell-off. Some retail investors like myself and yourself may see this information and actually maybe we align with the reasons that an analyst has gave, or maybe we just don't do our research and we just see headlines and we panic and then we sell out of a position. So I do think that's likely here. Some retail sell-off the back of this analyst's report. However, the stock moved nearly 10% on a given day. That is very unlikely to be due to just one report and just due to retail investors selling some of their shares. Because ultimately, as much as many shares as we like to think we have as retail investors, and some have a lot more than others, we probably don't have enough shares to be selling to make the stock move by this much. So I think what's probably happening here is more to do with the institution ownership. But aside from that report, we also, of course, have had the recent S&P 500 inclusion news. We learned that Palantir this time around are not being included in the S&P 500. And that has been a catalyst that a lot of people have been waiting on and buying in preparation for quite a while. So then to learn that actually 3 other companies, including Uber, are being added this time round, and we're going to have to wait until one of the, the upcoming S&P 500 rebalancing sessions to actually take place to find out if Palantir are being added. They're eligible, but they have not been picked to be added this time around. People are probably starting to maybe panic. Maybe they're selling off because it hasn't happened when they expected. Now, we were never promised when it was going to happen. We know that they're eligible. That doesn't mean that they're guaranteed inclusion straight away. It doesn't work like that. And especially when there are multiple companies that are eligible, you can't just add them all. So it goes through a selection committee. And just this time, Palantir didn't get picked. So it's still likely to happen. It's just we're going to have to wait until next year now. Again, that's most likely causing a little bit of retail sell-off. Probably not the amount that we would expect to see for a 10% dip on one day. So what else has been going on? Well, Bitcoin has been having an absolutely crazy journey recently. It's reached 52-week highs. It's been doing incredible. So there is some potential that maybe people are moving their money from equity and from stocks into Bitcoin and other cryptos. I don't, again, think that that's the sole cause of this, but it could definitely be happening, and maybe institutions are doing that as well. Then we've got insider selling. Now, I plan to make a video about this in the upcoming few days because I have some more things to share and to say. But we know that a lot of Palantir's board members and insiders have been selling a lot of Palantir shares recently. Why have they been selling Palantir shares? Well, I mean, there's many reasons we could get into, potential reasons, but ultimately probably just to take profit. Palantir, along with many other tech companies, has had an absolutely crazy time this year alone. Crazy gains, crazy returns that a lot of people probably say that, undeservingly even. Whatever your thoughts and opinions are on that, you can't deny that the return on Palantir stock has been phenomenal. If you had purchased a lot of shares at the beginning of the year and you were selling them now, you would have made quite a substantial amount of money, obviously depending on how many shares you purchased. But this, of course, means that there is a lot of profit sitting there for people to take off the table should they choose to do so. And this is no different with insiders selling either. Alex Karp, the CTO, everyone that has been selling shares is probably, I imagine, doing so to take some of their profit to manage their own personal finance. And also, as far as I understand it, in the US, we are now coming up to the end of the tax season. So there's tax implications in this as well. And these individuals selling, like Alex Karp, they have a lot of shares. So when a few of them over a course of, a few days sell many of their shares, that does have a significant effect. But also, we have to ask ourselves, are there large institutions that we don't know about yet, that we will find out about soon, that have also been selling Palantir shares again to take some profit off the table, maybe to do with the tax implications, the end of the tax year? Absolutely possible. You've got to remember that the sole purpose of a large institution like Vanguard, like BlackRock, other ones as well, is to make money. They have got no duty to hold a certain stock for a certain amount of time. If they need to sell to make money, to pass on to their customers, to make their funds look good, whatever. I'm not going to dive into this too deeply, but absolutely, large institutions could be selling. That doesn't mean that they think that this is a bad stock. This means that they are taking their profit now because they might think that they can get in lower, maybe in the new year. Of course, timing the market or trying to time the market comes with a handful of its own problems, but people always do it anyway. And then we've got just broader factors and the fact that a lot of tech companies have been declining over the last few days. Not all of them, but quite a number of them. And I think that's because, tech stocks falling across the board. I think it's due to the massive run up of tech stocks that we've seen this year. And there's only so long stocks can go up. They don't just continually go up and return 200% per year. It doesn't work like that. So people are sort of sitting and waiting and thinking, oh, okay, my tech positions have been up by a lot this year. Is it going to continue into the new year? Or should I actually just take some profit, cut my losses with my profits right now, take them off the table in time for the end of the tax year? And then, I might build a position up in the new year. Absolutely could be happening. Outside of this, the last two things I can think of, and I invite you to add more in the comments below if you can think of any more reasons as to why Palantir fell yesterday. The last two that I can think of are the interviews that have recently come out from both the CEO and CTO of Palantir. We had Alex Karp speak at the Reagan National Defense Forum on Saturday, I think it was, and he spoke about, Palantir's position in the defense sector, many things. I won't go into everything that he spoke about, and again with the CTO as well, an interview on CNBC. Now I covered some of that in this video up here. Watch that if you're interested. But a lot of the commentary in those two interviews were very much focused on the defense part of Palantir. And obviously, when you talk about conflict and you talk about technology in conflict and which side you're standing with and stuff like that, people might not like that all that much. And that could have ruffled a few feathers, maybe caused some sell-off. Again, I don't know how much those two interviews are playing into the fall that we saw yesterday. But hey, I think that even if you're a long-term investor and you don't really care about day-to-day movements, it's always interesting to actually understand what moves a stock and how the market works, because at the end of the day, knowledge is power. So am I concerned about this, and what am I actually doing with Palantir in my portfolio? Just before we get into that, if you want to support this channel even more, consider becoming a channel membership. Depending on which tier you pick, you will get different perks. I'll leave a link in the description below. If not, please just give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I just appreciate the support, honestly. But yeah, am I concerned about Palantir falling nearly 10% in a given day? No, I'm not. I'm very much focused on the company, the underlying company, and what the company is doing. And just in the few days alone, there have been very bullish things that have come out about Palantir and Palantir's future direction. But yeah, I'm not too concerned. So it just happens. Sometimes with these volatile growth stocks, we do see large movements upwards and downwards in a given day. I am just going to continue to dollar cost average in. And when there is a significant dip, perhaps like yesterday, I will add more of my cash reserves, which I share every single time I buy and sell any position on the Patreon. If you want to join that, again, link in the description. You'll also get weekly portfolio updates and access to a Discord server where myself and other like-minded investors chat every single day. So let me know what you're doing if you're concerned about this. Did you buy the dip yesterday? I'm making this video today on Tuesday, the 5th of December. The US stock market has not yet opened. It could be that by the time this video comes out, Palantir stock has had a complete reverse and gone upwards again. It could be that it continues to fall. We'll just have to wait and see. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll be back shortly with another very soon.